Hello ladies and gents! Thursday's video has always been a little bit of a wild card, but I usually try to bring you some educational topics here that hopefully will help you enjoy the game even more. To continue this tradition, today I want to talk about an all too familiar scenario, being the underdog, aka being shafted by the matchmaking, and how to make the most of these games anyway. The matchmaking system in World of Tanks has always been a hot topic, and the way it's currently set up is that you just have to accept the fact that in some matches, a lot of them actually, you just simply won't be a favorite to win the match. As this happens quite a bit, hell, on some days it seems to be happening in most games you get, I feel it's important to develop a strategy for yourself on how to address this situation, or you will ultimately end up being utterly frustrated by it. While we have a very quick discussion about this, I will actually play a very cool Churchill 3 gameplay from LA 2002 in the background, where he manages to have a great game while being bottom tier. Matches the topic quite nicely, I think. So, first things first, you will have to accept the fact that matchmaking was this time around not in your favor. But how do you identify these situations in the first place? Now there can be actually quite a lot of ways how matchmaking can get you. So here are the most typical ones. For one, the game uses a +2/-2 matchmaking for most machines, except of course scouts and some premiums, so most of the time you actually won't be in a top tier machine. And well, sometimes you will be a very small fish in an ocean full of sharks. Matchmaking does also not take player skill into account at the moment, so a lot of times it will simply put all the more experienced players on one side, which then usually results in a quick stomping run for them. Now you won't know about this unless you are running XVM in some form, but you can pretty much expect this being the case when in the first few minutes your team already seems to crumble. You also don't have mirror matchups mostly with regards to the type of tanks, so one side will often have an advantage on heavy tanks for example, while on your side let's say there are more tank destroyers. Now this setup actually keeps the game rather fresh, as you have to adapt to a different situation in every game, but sometimes it will simply put you in a disadvantageous position. For example, the team with a huge advantage on top tier medium tanks usually wins, especially if they are driven by experienced players. And last but not least, even if you are top tier, some tanks are just too specialized to work well in all situations. So, if you are sitting for example in a Mouse or a T-95 and get a large open campy map like Malinovka or Prohorovka, you better know what's coming for you. Alright, so we identify that we are unfortunately on the receiving end of one of these scenarios where we are either statistically unlikely to win or we are unlikely to do a lot of damage. Question is, how do we still make the most of it? Well, I think the best thing you can do is to set your own challenging but reasonable goals for the match, so you can be happy about your own performance regardless of the overall outcome of the game. And who knows? Sometimes putting in the extra effort instead of just giving up and getting annoyed will be actually enough to win the game as well, earning you basically a double victory. Now these goals that you have to set for yourself will be different to everyone, entirely depending on what's important to you. The most typical one is to set yourself a damage goal, like for example, in this matchup I will be happy with the result if I manage to do at least 1000 or let's say 2000 damage. You have to be there to do damage, but you have to do it as a fire support and not as a frontline fighter, or at least you have to spot for your allies. Now this goal also has the added benefit of teaching you how to look after your health so you can keep on doing the damage, a skill that will be actually crucial in other matches as well. Quite simply, you just can never practice a fighting retreat enough. Plus, this will also actually help your W18 as well if you are interested in chasing that. Now another goal you could set yourself is to learn something out of this match. Pay special attention to the positioning of the more experienced players on both sides. You just might pick up on a location that you actually can use to greater effect later yourself as well. And even if you have been quickly swept aside, think about how you could have gotten a little bit more out of the game. Maybe it was your positioning, maybe you didn't pull back fast enough. Either way, if you manage to improve yourself, you basically just won. And at the end of the day, this is all down to you. You might not be able to win every match, but you can be happy with your own performance in most of them. And at the end of the day, these goals will actually help you win more games in the long run. Alright, this was it then for me today. I hope I could help some of you getting a little bit more enjoyment out of the game. It sure as hell helps me a lot on those days when nothing seems to go my way. If you found this little video useful, thanks a lot for considering giving this a like or maybe sharing it. Otherwise, do let us know in the comments below how you deal with being the underdog. Now there is still a lot more content coming your way this week, like for example the review of the popular Tier 8 Premium Medium, the Panzer 58 mods that will be released tomorrow, and which tank by the way is also discounted right now on the EU servers at least. Thank you very much for watching everyone, and I see you soon.